Hey, good morning, guys. How's everything going? Oh man. So yeah, last night I kind of had this idea. It popped in my head, and uh, I want to make a video. The name of the video is called "The End of Work." So yeah, basically, it's just thinking about our society and the things that have been happening in our world, in America, and probably in the greater world in general. So, which is making me think about this concept of the end of work, because we have a lot of things going on as far as like AI, right? A big thing with AI, robots. There's a lot of things that have happened technologically within the last 20, 30 years, especially, with the internet and everything. This made our lives a lot easier. A lot of things have become more automated. We got a lot of great technological advancements. You could almost say that maybe we're kind of like leaving the industrial age, if you think about it. Starting in the 1920s, and this whole industrial era where we were working really hard. The 9 to 5 became common. People going to work and building things and create. We worked really hard. The generations before us worked really hard. They built. When we built a lot of things. So we've gotten to a point, I think, where we're reaching the end of that era and into the end of the work era, and into more of a of just living and basically not working the way that we used to. There's always going to be more innovations and things that we can create as well, but in general, I feel like that we are at this kind of breaking point where a lot of things are we don't have to work, I think, the way that we used to. I think it's when I think about the generation gaps and the things that that I think are really hard sometimes, I think, to adjust to is because if you think about, like, the millennials, even Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and then the generation after, which are kids right now, I think they're Generation Alpha. We're struggling with the amount of change, compared to the baby boomers and before them. Those generations, they worked. They had the concept of work was like, work really hard, and they glorified work in a way, almost like morally, like work was a kind of to not want to work is very morally kind of wrong. And a lot of that generation, they have that mindset of like, and they're the ones you hear them saying, like, the younger generations, they just don't want to work anymore. They don't want to work, and it's like, I see that because they grew up with this mentality of work and stuff. They worked really hard, and so it's hard for them to see the younger generations. Kind of, it seems like to them, maybe in their perspective, that they just don't want to work anymore, and the way that they worked, and to obtain what they got, and then that's the way that the society worked back then. So yeah, it's kind of a, it's like, it's not really that we don't want to work, right? Like, it's more that it's that things have changed a lot, and we're adjusting to that, and so it's not so easy. Like, so it seems like, a lot of it is nowadays they're still trying to hold on to this old belief set of glorifying work and glorifying the 9 to 5 and working your way up and putting your time in and trusting in the hierarchy of, the amount of time and work that you put in to get to a certain level. But nowadays, the younger generations, it's kind of like, and if you think about it, there's the concept that I think that the baby boomers struggle with is they're supposed to, like, each generation that comes after, you want your kids to have an easier life. You actually want them to have it better than your life, right? You don't want them to have to work as hard and to struggle the way that you did. If anything, but I think that they struggle with that a little bit. They might have a little bit of bitterness and envy and jealousy towards the younger generations, that maybe they have it easier technologically, in the way that things are able to be obtained, information, the attainment of information. so it's like adjusting to that is kind of hard, because it's like, you would want the younger generations to maybe not have to work as hard, right? But at the same time, you would be like, hey, that's not really fair. I had to work, so it'd be tough to, to just get into a mindset of being happy for the younger generation, to be like, hey, I worked hard, so now you don't have to work anymore. Like, it's a little tough, it's almost like not fair, it's like, oh, man, but at the same time, they should kind of adopt that mindset, because it'd be like, oh, great, yeah, look, now you guys don't have to work as much anymore, because we built all this stuff, and so your life is easier now. The end of work. It's kind of but there's still, nowadays we're adjusting to this, and it's hard. Like I feel like a lot of things are like busy work nowadays. If you think about a lot of the jobs, and a lot of the way we're still trying to hold on to these old beliefs of work. Like when you're in school, and a teacher or like a substitute comes in, and they give you a test, or they give you a work packet to work on it, just to keep you busy, where it's like, instead of just being like, hey, we can have a day of fun and not have to work today and not have to do anything, they want, it's like this concept of busy work. And a lot of things nowadays, I feel like it's a lot of like busy work, almost like, they want to they don't want people, they have they feel a certain way about the young people not working and stuff, that just being free and having fun, or making money on the internet and stuff, creating content, and they these kind of things, to the older generations, they feel like it's like, oh, they just don't want to work. But really, it's kind of like, it's the end of work, right? Yeah, we're transitioning into this, and it's not so easy, with the society and the way that we're gonna figure out how finances work. But in general, like this is what's happening. Our lives are much easier now. We have a lot of things that we don't have to, like, we can have more fun. We can have more time to create things and to live life in a certain way, to where we get to kind of choose our paths more, instead of like feeling like that, oh, I have to work this job, and I suffer through it, and then eventually, it's like we're getting out of that. I feel like we're getting to a point where we're able to be free, and to do the work that we want to do and stuff, instead of feeling like that, we need to keep doing this busy work and stuff, because it's not fair that, like, this is what you need to do. You need to suffer and struggle through, and this. So it's, I don't know, like, it's kind of a different concept of what's happening. So, it's a little bit of an abstract kind of a concept. But I think that we are transitioning into this. If I'm trying to look into the future and what's happening, that this is what's happening, and it's not so. Change isn't easy, right? Big changes like this, going from an era of industrialization and massive innovation and growth and technological advancement, into an era of more of a leisure and just enjoying the fruits of our labors from the last 100 years or so, to where now our lives are much easier, and we don't have to just continue to just suffer into the same kind of pattern and the same concept of what you're supposed to do in society, work a 9 to 5, and these things are a little bit outdated now, and so but the older generations, it's hard for them to like, they, that. So I think that this is what's happening, and it's going to take some time, for this transition, but ultimately I think there's a lot of like we're gonna be able to transition into a new reality, and it's there's going to be pushback in lots of different areas, and we're going to have to figure out how this works out, how to create this society to where the economic system and the society isn't holding on to the old outdated way of doing things, and so that's going to have to also change and adapt to our new reality. So anyways, yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and let me know in the comments if this sparks any kind of ideas in you. And I'm not trying to just like it's just kind of ideas and stuff, so it's it shouldn't if it stirs up anything kind of like in you where you want to like kind of argue it or anything. It's not. I feel like it's. I mean, you can say what you're feeling and stuff, but at the same time, I think they're really just. I'm not trying to say it as to try to like go against something. I'm really just trying to see what's happening and trying to make sense of it. So yeah. Anyways, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. I gotta go to work now.